Hello, everybody, and welcome to this year's very first episode of the Battleground of Bad Opinions podcast. I'm your host, Andy. On the other side of me is the main man, Josh. You all know him, you all love him. And we got some things to talk about. First of all, thanks for coming back. I know at least one of you missed us, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I feel like
So,
the last one we recorded was almost exactly a year ago.
I want to say when I was looking in studio the other day, it was like 372 days since posted or some shit like that. So we're right there.
Right.
But we've had a lot of
Yep.
life changes. Got some more time back under our belts. Got the creative juices back flowing. So we are back, baby.
Let's see if we can do better this time.
I
Or
think
worse if we want to challenge ourselves.
I mean, worse is where I was going to go with it, but however it works out. So obviously on screen you see us, but we also have a new addition to the podcast. Miss Megan, who does all of our graphics and stuff, is going to be our voice of reason and the ghost of fact checking. If you want to say hi, Megan.
Hello, everyone. I promise to try my best sometimes.
Megan, when you correct me on a fact, can you play the audio from Drake and Josh of Josh saying Megan?
That would be hilarious. Absolutely.
Thank you. It's exactly how I feel about being corrected.
All right, guys. Well, this time we're kind of just going to do a little intro, talk about some things going on, some highlights from the group, and just have a good time so we kind of get in the routine of how we're going to do things this time around. So, Josh, what do you got up on the chopping board first to talk about, bud?
I think the biggest story right now is The Flash. You ready to dive into that and see what we can do with it?
Oh, bro, let's talk about this one because I don't know what the fuck DC got going on or why they haven't fired this dude or act like he's the only person that can be the Flash ever. But like, this guy went on a whole Grand Theft Auto style spree across Hawaii on their dime, and they just haven't even like acknowledged
Um, it's, I mean, it's sad, and like there's so many other factors like that make it even worse, like canceling the Supergirl movie and like pushing this movie out anyway, like not doing any press for the movie at all because they can't put their star in front of the camera. It was a complete disaster, and it deserves all the criticism it gets. I've heard the movie's fantastic, but box office wise, it's completely crashing.
Well, yeah, I mean, people just aren't going to support that kind of crap. I mean, they don't even tweet about it for real. At least I'm not seeing anybody tweet or retweeting it. And you know, it's because the replies are going to be just nothing but like, but what about this? And it's not one thing. It's not like, oh, he got drunk and we can just let it go. It's a crime spree.
Yeah, there was multiple assaults, a couple of situations with minors, I believe. Like it's not, petty stuff.
No, this is like, that's who this guy is, or this is the greatest coke bender of all time.
Right, right. No, we have a pattern here. But
And like they keep trying to tap like the Batman stuff, like, oh, come see it anyway. So the Batman, even the Batman that are playing in are like, yeah, I'm voting this one in. I don't really want to be a part of this.
yeah, my friend described it as they jingled the Michael Keaton keys in front of our faces to try to distract us from Ezra Miller, and it didn't work.
Yeah, everybody was like, first of all, I didn't want another Michael Keaton Batman. So
Right.
write that down. And we're not giving you money for this idiot.
Right. I do
That's
think
DC. That you can say that's DC's films as a whole, though. We're just going to make another mistake and learn no lessons from it.
yeah, I do think that there's a few reasons this movie could have bombed. I do think that the Ezra Miller thing is the biggest because there's so much content out there. We all have not enough time to consume what we want to. We're not going to waste time on something that's problematic. But it also came out. It's a multiverse comic book movie that came out the week after Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know what they expected. Yeah, I don't know what they expected. Like it was Across the Spider-Verse sequel to one of the highest like reviewed movies of the decade, and they wanted to challenge it with The Flash. I mean, not only do you have Flash versus Spider-Man, you have like a critically beloved franchise against whatever DCEU is.
Yeah, and then, like Spider Verse, I wouldn't have put a Star Wars movie up against Spider Verse that weekend. Like
Yeah.
the cult, it like built a cult following that turned into one of the biggest mainstream successes of all time.
Exactly. It may not make as much as like a Star Wars or Avengers, but its core audience will go see it over anything else.
Like multiple times. Like there are
Yeah.
probably people, like lots of them, that have already seen Spider Verse 3, 4, 5 times
Oh,
in
yeah,
theaters.
for sure. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons Flash didn't have a chance. The other reason is they've already announced that they're pretty much scrapping and starting over with the whole franchise. Why would people go see this movie that they know is pretty inconsequential to whatever they're doing in the future? Like, and maybe it does tie in, and I don't know, but if you've already announced, hey, we're about to start over, we're done with this trash. By the way, here's a little bit more of the trash. I don't know.
There's
Like
no
you said,
point to go see it. Like, why would
right?
I waste? I mean, sure, there's some entertainment value in going to it. And if you just want some mind numbing fun, then go for it.
Sure.
But
And I don't have a problem with anybody
it,
who sees it. Like, I'm not judging anybody, but not for me.
like, it's not going to appeal to the masses, especially when we're used to like grandiose, overarching stories that follow, oh, I don't know, 26 movies over 20 years until the greatest fucking crossover movie of all time with Marvel. So, like, they're wasting their time on this.
Yeah. And I do think it's interesting. Warner Brothers has always been in at this dilemma, and it's never hurt them before, but Disney's always been able to advertise on ABC. Fox has always had Fox. Universal's always had NBC, and Paramount's always had CBS. WB's always been kind of out on its own. Like they've got HBO Max now, but they're kind of stuck where they are. And without the press release, they really had no way of getting it out. Besides one thing that I saw a lot, which was TikTok influencers that were talking this movie up, and they were hitting the. I know people love to like see the influencers and think that this is more real. These people are really talking to us. A lot of those people, and there are great ones. There are people that are going to make it in the TikTok world that are the best, but there's a lot of them that you throw them a little bit of cash and they'll say whatever you want. Just like
it is. TikTok is the perfect setting for an industry plant because you just pick fucking Joe Smo or Sabrina, what's her name, from middle of nowhere, Kansas, put them a cell phone in their hand and give them a little money. They look homegrown. It's a real opinion from a real person. And you just get them to say anything.
Yeah.
And it requires no production. No, you got a cell phone. This person can create a following tomorrow.
Just in case anyone wants to know, I will say anything for money in case anyone wants to throw me some money.
I will too.
Kidding. Like to a degree. There's a line. But I mean,
well, I mean, I think in this economy, just about any of us would.
If somebody wanted me to say I like this movie,
no, I'll go put a Flash shirt on right now. This whole motherfucker will be yellow.
That's great.
I think that's. I mean,
no, I
don't know how much more we can like shit on it though. There's really. It was a bad idea. Was what could have been a good movie with a better actor, but it was set up to fail from the beginning. And then you add in the Ezra Miller stuff, and it's just
right. I think for context, the movie opened to about 28 million Friday, but then made 60 million for the weekend, so it dropped off fast. Give me just
shit. So it made half of its money on opening day, and then nobody cared to see it after that. So all your diehards were right there. A couple people had to work Friday. They showed up Saturday. By Sunday, the little kids that had heard about the movie got mom to take them, and that was the end of that. Where like I went to see Spider-Verse on like a Saturday morning matinee, 10 a.m. or some shit like that. And it was packed out already. All right, so we're wrangling munchkins over there, bud?
Yep, we got one somewhere back here.
Surprise guest. Be all right. Hey. What you reaching for? Say hi.
Say hey.
Say
All
what you got
right.
going on is more important than anything we talking about in the first place, huh?
Yeah, I think it's time to discuss the new season of Coco Melon.
Ah, first of all, I didn't even know this stuff ran in seasons. So
They do on Netflix. They release it as seasons, and I don't understand. I think it's just a way for them to put it together, which I
they
don't
did
mind.
that with Red versus Blue years and years and years back too. They had released like the first, I don't know, 100 hours or so of it as a couple different seasons. All
Interesting.
right.
Yeah, they release like an hour long episodes and like 8 episodes per season. It's an easy way for me to click play and dip.
Oh, bro, I wish there was my kids is watching this mode to set on Netflix so that I didn't have to get up and go hit. I'm still watching like from the
Right.
beginning.
Right. All
Now,
right.
speaking of kids, let's talk about family. And by family, I mean families of fucking orcas. Look the kid right there. My bad.
You're in my ear. You're good.
Oh, okay, yeah, good. So we got these orcas, right? It all started with this one female orca who was a matriarch of her pod. She got hit by a rudder off, or either a rudder or propeller. I think it was propeller. And she took that perfectly. This happens all the time. Obviously, lots of boats, lots of animals. We're going to get some stuff getting chopped up. This orca went and started teaching the rest of its pod, and now they have expanded to other pods to teach them any ship of a certain size, I'm assuming, because it's only happening to pick ships. They're taking them out. They're tired of it. They're taking the seas back. And it's not just the orcas. Apparently, sharks, for the most part, have unanimously decided that human is now on the menu. So, all you guys thinking about getting on a cruise ship or taking up some oil rig job, just remember they want it back, and they're gonna get it.
And they're saying eat the rich. That's what they're
Oh,
saying.
absolutely. In fact, I don't know if this connected, but there's like 2 billionaires in a submarine in the ocean stuck right now that's like sinking.
So you can take a submarine to tour the Titanic. It's off of Cape Cod, Newfoundland, something. It's $250,000 a ticket. Just for a second, try to fathom spending that much on anything that you won't use for like 30 years, like for a ride.
No, bro, there's a
So
movie. You want to see it? Watch the movie.
I think they even put out a 3D version. If you're that interested, it was $12.
Like, I can get on YouTube right now and find like footage that is just as good as they're going to see inside. Well, I don't know if they're going to see anything inside of this submarine, but as they could have seen in fucking 4K right here on the laptop.
Get you an Oculus if you need that kind of experience. But yeah, so they went down a couple of days ago and they have 4 days of emergency oxygen on board and they're slowly running out. I don't know if there's been an update in the last few hours, but last I heard they had 48 hours left and nothing.
I don't know if you know how pressure and things work and like the bends and stuff, but they can't just like jerk them back out. I don't know how deep they made it, but at a certain point, like they try to jerk them out, everybody in that craft dies. If they don't die, they get extremely sick with the bends because I'm sure the pressure is going to be all messed up. Well, we just knew this was going to happen.
Say bye-bye. All right. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's going to be a whole ordeal and like, I don't know. They're putting a lot of resources. I think it's 5 people. And like now they're talking that America's not putting enough into it because it's not Americans. It's a couple of Pakistanis and Australian. But yeah, there's like a billionaire on board. But yeah, it went down and was.
I don't want to be callous towards 5 people dying, but it's also not my fucking problem.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
you signed up to go to the bottom of the ocean. You get bottom of the ocean as things happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know they've deployed Coast Guard resources to it at this point. I don't know. I hope they get found, but at the same time, maybe, if you can spend $250,000 on resources you can pay to rescue yourself.
I mean, when you spend $250,000 to fuck around and find out, is what it sounds like.
a lot of what happened. It seems like. Also, there
Uh,
was a reporter who had toured the Titanic that said he wasn't surprised because, like, spoiler alert, the Titanic's huge, and like you pass between a propeller, and like the whole sub could get caught in a propeller. Like, and also they've got 96 hours of oxygen. Titanic's really large, and it's in the dark. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
it's like the entire front portion of it is unexplorable, anyways. From when it went down, it smushed together into like
Oh
sandwich
yeah,
layers. So unless you have a drone that's like this big that can get between all that, it's dark metal. From the window, you can see some dark metal. You pay $250,000 for this. The rich
yeah.
people fucking confuse me. Not to make this that, but rich people, the shit they spend money on.
Hard to ignore that part of it. It's really hard. It's
There's
just,
There's nobody in my tax bracket that's like $250,000 to go see the Titanic. That sounds like a good fucking idea.
just yeah. I I couldn't imagine like spending 25. I don't know anybody who spent 25K on a 1 day experience. Like,
I wouldn't
I
spend
don't,
200 like a concert is maybe, and that's like for an experience. I
yeah,
mean,
for an experience.
there are things that I would do that are but those are day long events. Like
So
anything over four figures, fuck you.
yeah, I don't like spending commas. That's my thing. If it's a comma, it's probably going to need some kind of financing option.
Yeah, like I'll spend $100 on food all day long.
Right.
But to go see some shit under the water or of a nice view, no.
Yeah. Quick aside though, if you did have inexplicably disposable income, would you rather go to space or the bottom of the ocean?
Space.
I think I don't know. Space is so empty when you really think about it, and the bottom of the ocean is so vast. I'm a big space person, obviously being in Huntsville. We're a little biased, but I don't know. If we're talking
Just
about like, go ahead.
for me, it's I trust things to go right with space more.
Right.
There's folks that live up there, only for months at a time, but we got folks up there right now.
Mhm.
Every time we send somebody down there, you hear some story about a billionaire dying or they spent all that money to get to the bottom of the Marinara Trench. And as soon as they touch the bottom of the some bitch, all the fucking dead stuff at the bottom of it flew up in the air and we just wasted $1 million to not be able to see anything. At
Did
least
you
if I die
just
from space, that's a view, son.
I was waiting for this. I knew it
did
was
you
coming.
just say Marinara Trench?
Look, the man
Absolutely,
loves
I did.
pizza.
I
Okay,
know it's Mariana, but I'm calling that some bitch the Marinara Trench, okay?
just wanted to
Marinara
make
Trench
sure.
sounds like a 90s Pizza Hut advertisement. So, the next topic I wanted to hit was, have you watched any recent TV shows?
So I don't do a whole lot of TV, mostly because I do like YouTube and Twitch. The last thing I watched was the Last of Us series, though, which seemed really polarizing. Not even just because of its like socio-political shit, but like if you were really looking for a one-to-one shot of the Last of Us from the game, for the most part, you got it. But then you had people that didn't like it when they took the artistic freedom and made like entire episodes that weren't part of the game. And I was like, that's fucking dope. Because if I wanted the game over again, I'd just play the game over again.
Right. There's plenty of people that are playing the game if you want to watch that. Yeah, I thought it was really well done. I get why people who thought they were getting a run of the mill zombie movie didn't get a run of the mill, or zombie TV show didn't get the run of the mill zombie TV show. Um, I watched the game, the first game. I remember a little bit, but it was so long ago. I don't remember it well enough to remember the how prevalent the is it clickers, how prevalent they were to the story. I feel like they were more
Well,
gameplay.
clickers were a type of zombie in it, but yeah, they really were more of a just as this is how we make this area harder thing. I mean, to the lore, they're a thing where like the longer you are a zombie, the longer the spores can fuck with you, the more progressed you'll come into the zombie stage. Like they're all basically walkers at first, and then they turn into like either clickers or stalkers, or some of them turn into that giant fucking monster you saw at the end.
But yeah,
So you got something about this zookeeper movie that I apparently missed.
so yeah, the only show I've been watching a few shows lately, but the one I've been the most into is Manifest, which I don't know if you remember when Manifest blew up. It was like one of those COVID shows that everybody watched, like a little conspiracy type show. It's wrapping up. It just put out its last season. And I was trying to think of like what shows are out there for Netflix to latch onto. Because Stranger Things is at the end of its rope too. And just talking about the state of Netflix, I was on their Netflix Kids the other day, and the second trending movie was a early 2010s movie called Zookeeper. Do you remember this movie at all?
No, maybe the
Okay.
name. I don't know. Is it Kevin James?
It's Kevin James. It was the movie
I
after.
vaguely remember Kevin James in the zookeeper outfit.
Yep. So it was his next movie after Paul Blart Mall Cop. So he's riding high at this point.
Yeah.
So Happy Madison notoriously had a terrible year this year. The year it came out was also the year that Jack and Jill and Bucky Larson, You're a Star, or whatever that movie was called, came out. And I think those three movies have a combined like 15 on Rotten Tomatoes. But Zookeeper was like the summer hit. Completely forgettable movie. Why it's number 2 on Netflix is beyond me, but that's not why I want to talk about it. Because when I saw it was number 2, the only anecdote about that movie I know is that it was the only movie recently that did not have the no animals were harmed in the filming of this movie little speech at the bottom. Because during that movie, they killed a giraffe.
A giraffe.
They killed a giraffe. So
can you tell me how they killed a giraffe?
I can. They put a blue tarp over the giraffe cage, and the giraffe ate some of the blue tarp and died. The Humane Association was monitoring the whole thing. They said that they were within their right. It was just an accident. But after this, they made it more stringent to use animals. That's why you don't really see those kind of animal talking movies anymore.
I guess I can't be like too mad about it. I mean, you don't expect the giraffe to eat the fucking.
Yeah, they said that there was just some hanging over the edge. The giraffe got some. It's tragic. But what I didn't realize till I did my Wikipedia rabbit hole the other day is that the giraffe, his name is Tweet, and he had been an actor for 18 years when the movie came out.
Okay, first of all, I want to know the actor process for a giraffe, but hit me.
I think Tweet had a monopoly on it based on his Wikipedia, but he was the giraffe in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and he was also Jeffrey from the Toys R Us commercials in the 90s.
Not Jeffrey.
So this terrible Happy Madison production movie that wanted to get some fart jokes about elephants in killed Jeffrey. And all of that for like probably $21 million domestic. It's
Adam Sandler,
you don't have to fact
son
check
of
me
a
on that.
bitch.
Yeah, this was like the nadir of Adam Sandler movies, that whole group. But I was reading about it and I was like, man, but now it's number 2 on Netflix. Like it's Boss Baby and Zookeeper. And then God knows who licensed these other movies. I'm pretty sure they were made by somebody at Netflix.
Okay, but imagine getting to giraffe heaven and you have a fucking IMDb this fucking long. And they go, so what got you? Did some wolves get out on a Saturday? No. Fucking piece of blue tarp took me out. I'm going to assume it probably got like wrapped in his intestines or some bullshit like that. But like,
I really don't know.
That's a way to go out right there. It's not even a cool, like not even cool for a giraffe movie star.
I do wonder now, and this can be checked, but do you think that Tweet made it in memoriam at the Oscars that year?
Absolutely not.
I imagine the Oscars didn't want to acknowledge that Zookeeper existed.
No,
but
they first of all, they didn't want to acknowledge that movie existed. They don't even want to acknowledge that Adam Sandler exists. But then they would have to talk about the first time in probably decades that they didn't get to use the no animals were harmed in the filming of this movie.
Yeah.
That got swept under the rug. I'm surprised you found something about it on the internet, to be honest.
Where I heard about it. I heard about it years ago, but yeah, I went to fact check it the other day when I saw it was trending. And then of course my kid was like, elephant movie. I'm like, absolutely not. They're like, elephant movie. I'm like, No. And then I turned it on because I wasn't winning that argument, and it was
Well, we
terrible.
never do. All right, so I
Yes.
guess that's enough about things that me and you got going on, or what's interesting us. We do got to eventually talk about this here group we're doing this for. So, what you got up on the chopping block for us for the group?
I don't know what I'm doing next. I've been thinking about rerunning two tournaments that I really enjoyed a long time ago. And these are two that you really liked, I think. The mythical creatures or the superpowers. Which superpower would you prefer? Those are two of my
First
favorite
off,
tournaments.
those are great ones, especially they are super old, and I think anything pre-COVID is definitely cool to bring back now because we're
Yeah.
probably 17,000 more people than we were pre-COVID. Then they're also great discussion ones, especially if you get people to justify like what power they want or how they would use it. It's teleportation, guys. That's the fucking answer. But
Yeah. So last time I included ability to cast magic spells, and that's what won. I guess just based off the logic that some people use, that you would be able to do whatever if you could cast.
well,
magic.
yeah, I mean, if you have magic and your magic knows no bounds, then you can just do whatever.
So I'll probably disclude it this time. I'll see. I haven't looked at the tournament, but I was thinking that, I like those more choose your own adventure type discussions, not just which one's better. It gets the group thinking a little more, which is always
But yeah,
fun.
better is so subjective, anyways. It's like when you got something we can actually talk about and put a justification to and really expound upon. That's what really makes the group great too. Is you start finding out all these little things about these people when you talk to them, inadvertently every day sometimes.
That's very true. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to go one of those two next. I don't remember much. I remember the mythical creatures one was really fun, and dragons one. So I
Well,
thought,
of course, Dargan's won.
so I thought let's continue it and go into a tournament of best dragon. I don't know if you remember this tournament, but I think it's arguably our worst tournament. Do you remember it at all?
I feel like I remember it happening, but I don't remember anything about it. Probably because I'm guessing most people were like, "What the fuck is a wyvern?"
Let me look it up real quick. Let me look up exactly what made the final four. It was because this is like right after Game of Thrones ended.
Which most people are still arguing about whether Game of Thrones dragons are even dragons, and they're not, but they are. But that's beside the point.
So the final four was Smog.
Oh, this is
Mushu.
actual dragons, like named dragons.
Oh yeah, Toothless, and the winner, Spyro.
Fucking remember this. I remember Spyro winning because I was like, I was on Team Spyro because Spyro has the fucking nether powers. Spyro has black hole magic that can just disappear your punk ass. Smog be damned.
It was
Andy.
and like Puff the Magic Dragon made a run. Like it was completely me misreading that. Yes, 10% of people are going to care about dragon lore. The other 90% are like, is it Mushu?
Yeah, no, it was definitely cute purple dragon won because cute purple dragon.
Yeah, cute purple dragon beat funny red dragon.
Well,
yeah.
Yes, Ghost Megan.
I was thinking that you were talking about something completely different when you said red dragon. We're not going there. If you know, you know.
We are not talking about bad dragons on this podcast.
Let's not go there.
Sorry.
That one won't be in the tournament.
But Andy, your whole it's not a dragon, but it's a dragon, but it's not a dragon. Oh, you're talking about fake dragons in movies. The fact that you know lore about actual dragons, it says a lot. You are a nerd.
Oh, Megan, you are so far out of the loop, homie. I read at least one epic fantasy series a year. I've taken up armored sword fighting as my latest hobby. I ran a successful D&D group during COVID. I am fucking way up here on the nerd scale somewhere.
Heard.
I can tell you what kind of treasure certain fucking dragons want. So
Weird
yes,
with like
yes.
nerd stuff that you know, like who to call, who to check, and who not to check. You're one of those people I'm not going to bother checking when you have an opinion on that stuff.
Oh, because if I don't immediately know, I've got the entire archive of Death Battle that I will just go, oh, you like this character and you think I'm wrong? Let me show you a rundown of every fucking thing they've ever done ever with calcs behind it. I am being invaded by a cat. Cat, don't you do it. You don't know it yet, but those are actually the flames of hell, and that will hurt you. All right, so I definitely think you should rerun those tournaments. I think we should give all of the newer people, especially because we have a new, like, for the most part, main cast in the Battleground now. Like, we still got a lot of the old names, the old heavy hitters, but we got a lot of people in the last, like, 2 years that have really, really got in there.
I think we've switched to more of a discussion type tournaments than the just vote for what you like and tally the votes.
I kind of like it that way, though. It's
sure
group engagement's at like an all-time high. Yep. Got to be a Padre again.
Yeah, I was getting yelled at because I wasn't reading Toy Story the book.
It'd be like that sometimes.
But no, you're right. It definitely makes it more fun too. It makes it more involved, and I like that a lot.
So in the since we're talking about the group now, obviously these polls for Father's Day. I'm assuming that's what you were trying with the last two, is kind of stick to Father's Day theme with the whole temperature and dad sayings and whatnot.
Yeah. So the original plan was I was going to run a few different dad tournaments, best dad movie, like best dad theme, like cargo shorts versus New Balances. I decided the dad phrases was definitely the best one. I might run some one gotta go type things, but yeah, I was planning on doing a few dad tournaments.
The dad phrases are great.
Thank you.
I love seeing them because I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm voting strictly off. That's the one I catch myself saying all the time.
I read all of them in my dad's voice, so I definitely am voting for what he says. I'm sure I asked my kids to look at the list, and I was like, which ones did I say? And it was about 60%. I wasn't all the way.
Now, with the temperature one, I love that as far as the voting goes, we all want it cold. But everybody that comments is like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? And I want to know what's got you lizards so goddamn talkative all of a sudden.
Why I am this way. And like, I didn't realize it because I'm usually pretty comfortable wherever I am. But like, when I went into my own home and had agency over the temperature, I would always crank it up. And like right now, the house is on 75.
If this house was on 75, this would be a much different podcast.
Pardon me. That is so hot.
If it starts with a 7, that's where my anger level is going to start.
I'm a 68 house.
68.
Look at the same.
So
yeah.
64.
Here's my question to you two.
Honestly, but you know.
Oh my God. Here's my question to you two. Do you think 69 would have won if it wasn't for 69? Or do you think 69 is actually the best temperature?
I think 69 probably knocked out a few of your higher than 70 key choices. I don't remember its trajectory, but I'm betting it knocked out the 72s and 73s, something like that. And it definitely took out its lower counterpoints because of the joke.
Yeah. So
I'm a 12-year-old boy. It's because it's 69.
The closest match was the finals. It was 68 versus 69. It was actually decently close.
But that's actually a legitimate difference, though. Also, people's like OCD was in on that. It's like, are you an even number person or an odd number person?
Right. So yeah, 69 definitely beat 70 and 68, but it was closer with 68. So I do think it would have went a little lower if it wasn't for the number. I think 68 probably would have won, but
you got to vote for the Wolves though at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, I am getting podcast bombed by a Doogaboog.
So in your house, Andy.
Don't mind the damn. He got his cone on, his little cone of shame.
Aww.
He got his nuts cut off last week or 2 weeks ago. So responsible pet ownership, people. spay and neuter your animals.
So if you were in a house and you were setting the temperature to around 68, would you leave it at 68 or go to 69?
No,
Is that 1 degree? Yeah.
It's,
I was about to say, is
important
that
to
1
me.
degree worth the joke or no?
Look, you see all this shit that's sticking up out here and all hanging off my face, and like you can kind of see it. I'm fucking hairy, and being fucking hairy means you are fucking hot. So if I can possibly get it 1 degree lower, we're taking the 1 degree every time.
See,
I'll put
I
this
thought I
bitch to
always wanted
59 if I can.
Oh my God. I would cry. And I used to think that I liked it hot because I was so skinny, but I've put on 40, 50 pounds over the last 5 years and it hasn't changed at all. I
I
don't
was
know
about
what it
to
is about me.
say, my argument is just that I'm fat and like I like it cold.
You see, I've lost 30 pounds since I quit drinking, and I'm still like, give it colder. I need it colder.
But are you a cold person that also needs a fan?
Yeah, fan's always on. If I'm in a room, the fan is on. The only reason this one is not is because I don't want it to pick up on my mic right now. Actually, a little toasty on my own couch.
I could blank right
All right, so we're all in agreement here that it was definitely the number, the meme that got the 69 vote.
Yes.
All right. Well, as long as we're all in agreement that it needs to be under 70, fuck you, you lizards. And it's the meme that won. Moving on. Let's talk about music. More importantly, the shattering of genres in music. Because I got like 3 favorite artists right now, and one of them is number 1 in 2 different charts for the first time in history, as in nobody's ever done this shit before. Josh, I'm sure you probably know who I'm talking about. I've been trying to put you on for like 2 years. You're a stubborn dickhead. But you got the Jelly Roll that is just out here smashing it. Country, hip hop, rock charts, doesn't matter. Top 3, number 1, killing it. But then you got guys like Jason Isbell that have been out here 15 years or so now.
Solo artist is 15.
And someone asked about, do you think they're country in the group the other day? And nobody said no, but then you also had a lot of people, well, it's Americana, it's music at this point.
Right. It's so interesting how we've gotten away from the genres of music. And I don't know if it's because we have a different agency to choose what we want to, and it matters more your style, I guess. Like, to me, like Jelly Roll, he doesn't really fit any of the genres as far as like you're not going to see him on CMT fishing with the boys, but you're also not going to see him like, dressed to the nines doing whatever he's got to be like a pop star. Like it's interesting to see how they don't fit any celebrity anymore because they don't have to. And I feel like 20 years ago, there were probably artists who were a little more pushing the envelope on different things, but they had to fit to stay relevant. But now you can stay relevant without those things.
Oh yeah, no, especially with social media, it helps all these things. You got TikTok, you got folks doing the podcast, so you start to build these personal connections with them outside of their music. And you also don't have the music industry controlling the conversation anymore about who gets to be seen. So you don't have, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have a dude with face tattoos playing at the Grand Ole Opry. But Jelly's done it twice now. You wouldn't have, I'm not super versed on Jason Isbell. I know his music, pretty well, but I couldn't even tell you what he looked like. But I'm sure his music's playing on pop radio nowadays sometimes too. And you didn't have that 20 years ago. Everything had to be in its boxes and in its lines, and it's just not the case anymore.
The real reason people were talking about Jason Isbell is more because he's from Florence, and that's why a lot of people in the group listen to him. But yeah, you're right. He's really big on Twitter. He's really vocal on a lot of things. But yeah, it's just interesting how you can be completely different from just your music, but also like I think it has a lot to do with the algorithm of like Spotify and YouTube Music and all this being able to, hey, it doesn't say, hey, you like rock music, here's rock music. It says, hey, based on our infinite amount of data, if you listen to whoever, you might also like this person. I'm sure for you, it was probably Upchurch into Jelly Roll. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure that
that's
YouTube
actually
knew.
that was the direct pipeline.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what YouTube knew already. That you just that they were like, hey, if you like this, 84% of listeners that also listen to this, you're probably going to like it too. And that's really, I think, how I got Jason Isbell on mine too. Is I had this amalgam of folky, sad indie music and like a little bit of country over here, and they were like, hey, this guy hits it right on. And that's how I've discovered most of the artists I listen to is, these algorithms know me better than I know myself.
It's also the destigmatization of a lot of it. The algorithm isn't going to care that you hang out with metalheads and that think that's all that you need to hear is metal. It's like, no, you like these funky grooves in these songs. Well, here's something outside of it. Boom. Now you're bopping along, ain't paying attention, and you got a new favorite song just because it hit that Spotify playlist.
Exactly. I do think, all those recommendation Discover Weekly things, they figure you out. And I think they're really good at understanding to a scary extent what you want to hear next, which
TikTok too, man, especially TikTok with its sounds. Dude, I have found so many songs that I never would have listened to if it wasn't for TikTok, just because it went really good with a video game fucking scene or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, same. There's a lot of those. And one thing I've noticed with those TikTok songs is a lot of them only have about 20 seconds of good. And that's the 20 seconds I hear on TikTok.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a commercial for a horror movie that shows everything. But yeah, one thing that I thought was interesting about the algorithm, and I was thinking about this the other day. Do you remember back in like early 2010s when every summer, every fall, there was some big like funky sounding pop song that wasn't really pop because it had a bunch of instruments like that? The Best Day of My Life or Safe and Sound, like fun. Like there was a ton of those, and it had to be like, hey, you were just a college kid listening to alternative like indie music, and now you're kind of growing up and just whatever's on the pop station is what you're going to listen to. Here's the middle ground for that. And it just kept recommending those videos. Like I know the first algorithm success was Hozier. Hozier blew up on Spotify because it figured out who wanted to hear Hozier, and then everybody that heard Hozier liked Hozier, and Hozier was the biggest thing in the world. It's just really interesting how the music industry's changed because like, I'm sure like when I was a kid, I listened to 95.1. I heard nothing but rock, literally. Like, it's just interesting how we're able to expand in different ways now. More personal, I guess.
It's crazy, but I love it. Music and entertainment in general is probably at an all-time high spot that it's ever been.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, in the interest of time, and because Zoom will only let us do so much, and behind the scenes peek here, my laptop is on 7%, and I can't run a cord room at.
Coming clutch. Uh-oh. It's just me running the show now? All right. Well, Megan, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. You guys are closing out, so
what is a skill you would like to learn?
I would love to learn how to crochet.
So when I asked my kids that question too. They said that knitting would be what they would want to learn out of all the skills. I thought that was interesting. I think knitting would be really fun.
Knitting would be really fun.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool one. I said to play an instrument. I don't know how to play any musical instrument, and I just never took the time to learn. I was a weird kid. I was in all these like advanced classes and taking the extra math, so I never had an elective to take like band or anything. So I never learned how to play an instrument. I wish I did.
I learned how to play the violin. I played from first grade through 10th grade, and
That's awesome.
I never learned how to read music.
Really?
Everything was learned by ear. And it like I wasn't great at violin, but I was really good at like tune.
It's interesting.
But like sight reading was so hard for me. So I just stopped playing after a while.
I have no idea what I would be good at on any of that. I wish I did, but it's one thing I never learned. But all right, anything else before we close out the show?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank y'all for joining in. Sorry, Andy couldn't make it to the end. He couldn't hang, but yeah. Hope y'all enjoy this episode, and there'll be another one out soon. Um, I think we discussed it. We're going to do an Enter the Battleground hype thing where we battle. Y'all look forward to that. It's going to be a good one. Bye.
Okay, bye.